All right, I hope this little exercise caused you to think about scope a bit. So I want to go through each one of these functions and talk about them and even make a few little tweaks just to show a few things. So first, playing with loops. Now the question is, what will the following function produce? And how can you improve it? So if we look down through this, I hope you were able to notice that it would produce an error before you actually tried it. So let me go ahead and reduce this a bit. Go to that page and let's open up the console, and we'll call playing with loops. And notice we get an uncaught reference error. I is not defined. Now, if you weren't able to figure that out before you run the function, that's fine, but let me explain why we get I is undefined. Notice that in this for loop is where we declare I. So I's scope is that block right there. We're using I here outside of that block. This is a part of a different scope. And so therefore we get the reference error. It can't find I right here where we assign it to j, the value of I to j. It just can't find it, so we get the error. So how can we improve this? Well, a simple way is we could simply declare this I in this for loop with var. And that creates the scope of the function, and then it's accessible. So if we save that and come back here and do playing with loops again, now we get some large number. Now, I didn't mean for you to figure out what that large number was going to be. That would have been hard to do. What I wanted you to figure out is that it was going to produce an error as the first thing. And then how can you improve it? You could simply change the declaration. That would be one way to do it. All right, so that was playing with loops. Now coming down here to the fun function. And the question for this one is, what will the following function produce as well? So if we look through this, we have an if statement here. If num. Is that if statement going to be invoked? Well, we do declare num. Do you think we're going to get another error? But notice we declare it with var. And so hoisting is involved. So we shouldn't get an error here. But is num equal to anything? It's equal to undefined. And since it's undefined, this will not execute at all. So finally here, num is set to 100, and then we log out 100. So if we run that, yes, we get 100. Now, would it change anything if we came up above this if and we did var num, we declare it there, and then down here we just set num equal to 100? Would that change anything? Let's go ahead and take a look. No, it wouldn't. Declaring it here and then assigning it here is the exact same thing with var as if we'd done it all down here because of the hoisting that's involved. Now, obviously, if we reset this one to a number, positive number, something like 10, then obviously we'll get two console log statements. And there we go, 1,100. Because now num is some value. And so this evaluates saying, yes, there's something in num, and it's a truthy value. And so then we assign 1,000 to it. It does a console log statement. We assign 100 to it. It does a console log statement. So that's that function. All right, now sum it. What will the following function return? So here we have two functions inside of an outer function. Now, as you look at this, we declare num here. Down here we invoke sum1. Sum1 declares num and sets it equal to 100. And then we invoke sum2 as a part of a return statement. Sum2 takes num, multiplies by 2, returns that value, and then that value gets returned from the sumit function. So what's going to be returned? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at this. We get 20. Now, can you see why that is? once again, this variable, here's its scope right here. And so when we're looking for num, we don't find it here. As we go up the scope chain, we find it here. And that's equal to 10. So 10 times 2 is 20. That gets returned, and then we return it from this outer function. And so we get 20 on the console. Then finally, this last function, sum it to, what is wrong with the following function? How can you fix it? Well, what I hoped you would see is that we were creating inadvertently a global variable by not declaring it here. And so how can we fix it? Well, we simply declare it as a part of that function. So sum it to, and that returns 200 for us. All right, so I hope that gave you a little bit of practice with scope, helps cement some of those things. And let's go ahead and move on.